Denver7, we are following breaking news out of Aurora, where police are about to give an update on a sex assault investigation involving a teacher at Prairie Middle School. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Police have released few details, but they believe there are multiple victims. Denver7 investigator Jace Larson has been working his sources and joins us from the newsroom. Jace?
Hey guys, police right now will not tell us if this teacher has been arrested, but there is a news conference that's going to take place in just 1 hour where police and the district say they will tell us more. Here's what we've been able to learn thus far. We know police have questioned the teacher that's at the center of all of this. Police believe also there are multiple victims. And this teacher, as you mentioned, worked here at Prairie Middle School in Aurora. Police have said that some type of incident occurred last Saturday. The Aurora Police Chief and the Superintendent of Cherry Creek Schools will be talking at this news conference. And guys, as we learn more details, we will break them right here on Denver7 and also on the denverchannel.com. Live in the newsroom, Jace Larson, Denver7.
All right, Jace, thank you. And our own Jackie Crea, she's there at police headquarters right now for that news conference. And we will also stream that news conference live on the denverchannel.com and, of course, have more at 6 o'clock. We're also monitoring the feeds out of Phoenix tonight, where the president is set to hold a rally in about 3 hours. We're already seeing several groups out. We know the president has arrived, but several groups are out there either showing support for or protesting the president.
What happened to Firestone we've never seen before. We are spending millions of dollars to do everything we can to make sure it never happens again.
And Governor John Hickenlooper announcing new safety changes to prevent another deadly home explosion like the one we saw in Firestone back in April.
Investigators concluded the explosion was caused by an uncapped gas line, leading to a statewide review of all oil and gas lines in the state.
And today we've learned inspectors have so far checked 120,000 gas lines from the 23,000 wells across our state. However, many of the lines are still either unmapped or just unavailable.
Denver7's Jennifer Kovaleski has been covering this story. In fact, from day one, you were at the briefing. The governor's not requiring these maps to be put online.
Shannon and Ann, citing security concerns, the governor says they instead plan to expand 811. That's the number you call before you dig. If you call 811 within 3 days, the governor says someone will come out to your house and mark where the gas lines are. But for people who live in Firestone, they believe they have a right to know and want to see publicly available maps. 4 months after this deadly home explosion in Firestone, caused by a cut gas line from an abandoned well.
I think the whole state, the heart breaks that something like this could happen in sitting on the floor of your basement, you know, working on a hot water heater.
Governor John Hickenlooper is promising change.
We're talking tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars are going to be spent, and the system's going to be changed.
Hickenlooper laid out a 7-pronged plan where he's asking oil and gas operators to voluntarily pay to plug more than 700 abandoned wells in the state.
It's a can that's been kicked down the road for decades.
Hickenlooper shied away from more controversial topics, like how close homes can be to existing wells, or the need for publicly available maps for all oil and gas pipelines.
Concerns of having a database like that available, of people stealing gas or, you know, tapping into these lines that are considered some level of a security risk.
Local communities have gone further. Both Erie and Lafayette are looking to require pipeline mapping. Instead of maps, the state plans to enhance 811 by requiring energy companies to provide gas line locations directly, something the COGCC, who regulates the industry, says made the most sense.
It's existing infrastructure. They do this now.
If you care and you want to know, you can pick up the phone and call 811, and you'll get it.
Now, if you're looking to buy a property and don't own it, right now you can't just call 811 to find out where the gas lines are. We brought this up to the governor during the briefing, and he says that they're now looking to change that.
So what was the reaction from people in Firestone to all this?
I talked to a mom who lives right behind where that most recent gas pocket was found.
Right.
She told me that this is really doing nothing to reassure her community, and they would really like to see those publicly available maps and legislation that requires oil and gas companies to actually disclose where the pipelines are.
Well, that was not that long ago. I'm sure feelings are still fresh. Jen, thank you very much.
Right now, a major traffic alert for you that has rush hour traffic rerouted. This is for the North Glen area. The northbound lanes of Washington Street are closed right now between 119th and 120th. Crews are out there digging right now into the street to fix a gas line after someone drilled a hole to see which utilities were underground, and no word yet on when they will be done with that fix. All right, to Arizona now, where in about 2 hours, President Trump will make a speech at a campaign-style rally. It's his first trip out west since being elected, and you are looking live right now at Air Force One on the ground. The president just landed there. The president will meet with military members. Again, he's in Phoenix, where we know that some demonstrators have been out on the streets. And President Trump is facing some strong criticism for his handling of the Charlottesville protests last week. Phoenix's mayor, who's a Democrat, tried to discourage the president from coming. And both of Arizona's Republican senators have been publicly critical of the president. We will have much more on World News Tonight coming up at 5:30, and we will, of course, be monitoring events in Phoenix throughout the night.
And Colorado Republican Senator Cory Gardner is applauding the president over those new sanctions targeting Russia and China about North Korea. Senator Gardner calls this long overdue. He goes on to say, however, we need to do more in imposing penalties on all North Korean enablers, he calls them. And these new sanctions affect 6 people and 10 organizations with financial ties to North Korea's weapons program. Well, House Speaker Paul Ryan is coming out against a plan sponsored by Colorado Democrat Diana DeGette to censure the president. And that is the strongest condemnation in Congress, short of impeachment.
That would be so counterproductive. If we descend this issue into some partisan hack fest, into some bickering against each other, and demean it down to some political food fight, what good does that do to unify this country?
Well, Speaker Ryan has condemned the president over his both sides comment. He says the president messed up. No president, by the way, has been censured since Andrew Jackson back in 1834.
We are getting a lot closer to seeing a health care plan, not from Washington. It's 2 governors putting their heads together, Colorado's Governor John Hickenlooper and Ohio's Governor John Kasich. The 2 told CPR they plan to release their plan sometime this week, and they aren't giving any specifics just yet, but they say it won't be a single-payer system. We will be sure to let you know when details are released.
Gentrification is the leading factor, pricing out longtime residents out of their North Denver neighborhood. And now they are taking an unusual step to fight back. Denver7 Sally Mamdou is in Swansea near I-70 with more on what this community, a community land trust, is.
For 18 years, Raimonda Carinwa has called Swansea home. Came to this community because everything was close and I didn't have to drive. She wanted to speak to us in Spanish. It's how she communicates with people that live in our community, which is estimated to be around 70 to 80% Hispanic. Living here was comfortable, but Raimonda says her home isn't a place of comfort anymore. Her lease is month by month and she can be evicted at any time if her apartment gets sold. I have no place to go. My son lives with me. He has lupus and is on dialysis. Last year, her landlord raised the rent from $600 to $1,000, a struggle for Raimonda and her husband, who are trying to make ends meet. It's very stressful. Raimonda isn't alone. 10,000 people living in the Swansea, Globeville, and Elyria neighborhoods are worried about their future.
The threat of displacement is much higher and much worse.
Robin Reichart with Globeville, Elyria, Swansea Coalition says the anticipated expansion of I-70, the redevelopment of the Western livestock, and the shortage in houses has turned the once overlooked neighborhoods into a hot spot.
Being so close to downtown, the demand for folks that want to work downtown is very high to have a short commute.
But the coalition is fighting back by starting a land trust that would acquire properties in the neighborhoods.
It's an entity that allows an affordable homes and housing in perpetuity. The subsidy stays in the community, stays in the home, and that way that house could be sold over and over and over at an affordable rate, below market rate.
Guaranteeing people like Raimonda will always have a roof over their head.
The impact of being displaced is a major family crisis.
Sally Mamdou, Denver7.
So very quickly, a land trust, kind of like an HOA with a twist. A homeowner leases the land beneath the home to the trust, and the residents pay an annual fee. So when it comes time to sell the next time, the next owner agrees to the rules, and the trust tries to make the price affordable.
You will soon have to pay and plan your visit to Hanging Lake. Today, the Forest Service revealed its plan to protect one of the most beautiful places in our state. Right now, that popular hiking area gets more than 1,000 visitors a day on average, and the proposed plan would limit that to 615. On top of that, everyone would be required to pay for reservations with specific timed entry.
It's a treasure in the state of Colorado. And, you know, these rules are really in place to help us keep it that way and keep people coming back to visit this summer and years to come.
Now, this is not final. You have 30 days to comment on this proposal, and we have put a link up on our website, thedenverchannel.com. And we're holding the state accountable after a series of problems at the driver's license office. Camera problems forced many of us to have to come back to the DMV after some technical problems. When we talked to the state on July 31st, we were told a fix would take place by mid-August. Well, today, in a statement, we are told that has happened, although DMV says there has been a handful of isolated outages. They also told us there will be an additional upgrade over the next month.
Aurora is moving forward with plans to buy more land to build a reservoir out in Park County. This is part of that city's plan to supply water in this booming eastern part of the city. Now, last night, City Council voted in favor of using eminent domain to acquire the land, which is more than 100 miles away from Aurora. There'll be a final vote next month.
Dozens of people rallied in front of the EPA building today here in downtown Denver. They are protesting Trump administration efforts to roll back protections on more than half of the waterways in the United States. Demonstrators worry that rolling back the clean water rule would be detrimental to Colorado's economy and quality of life, since our state is so dependent on clean water. In the past, President Trump called the rule a massive power grab on the government's part. Now, new numbers show CU Denver is getting more diverse.
And some students who've never had bicycles before get brand new ones.
And Colorado is now on board with a new program that allows disabled residents to save money without jeopardizing their eligibility for supplemental security or Medicaid.
And I'm meteorologist Stacey Donaldson. Scattered showers up in the mountains, but will these roll down across the Front Range tonight? I'll let you know coming up in just a few minutes.
On the next list, 1, tricks to recycling the right way. 2, check out these radical new writables. And 3,